The story kicks off with a swarm of red ogres raiding a town. People freeze up, terrified, while a dragon circles in the sky. A man rides on that dragon, chants a spell, and hundreds of paper charms rain down. Each charm sticks to an ogre and then boom, a wild chain of blasts wipes them out and even blows up part of the town. One ogre staggers away, and the dragon snaps it up in a single bite. That rider, he's known as the strongest exorcist alive. He chased power so hard that the imperial court started fearing him. They turned on him, sent even his favorite student against him, and betrayed him. With death closing in, he regrets not being more careful, fires off a secret reincarnation spell, and vows to live smarter next time.
Not in my next life.
Cut to a new life. A boy named Seika stands inside a glowing magic circle. His father tests him with elemental stones to measure his power, and nothing lights up. 0 mana. His brother Gray laughs, calling him useless. Seika realizes this world's magic isn't like the spiritual arts he used before. But even without mana, he can feel strong spiritual energy humming inside his body. Paper's expensive, so Seika gathers leaves and gets creative. He crafts shikigami from them. Some turn into tiny mice, others become crows. Gray walks up, sneering, and raises a hand like he's about to hit him. The leaf crows dive in to protect Seika. Their older brother Luft rushes over, shoos the birds away, notices Seika isn't holding any weapon, and those suspicious drags Gray off to get patched up. Life at home isn't great. Seika's the son of a mistress, so everyone treats him like he's second class. No one really pays attention to him. He keeps grinding anyway. He makes his own paper piece by piece and finally manages to craft a real paper talisman. There's a knock on his door. A young maid, Aoife, returns his coat. Gray threw it out earlier. Gray barges in right after, taunts them both, orders Aoife back to work, and brags that he'll be attending the Imperial Magic Academy. Their father appears, tells the boys to get back to training, and Seika asks if he can join. Outside, Luff shows his skill first. A wind blade slices a huge stone clean through. Gray goes next and launches a fireball into the target. Feeling smug, he tells Seika to try. Seika hesitates. He doesn't want to expose what he can really do, but maybe one solid flex will stop Gray from bullying him. He raises the wand, calls on his spiritual arts, and fires a blue flame that obliterates the target instantly. No chant, no build-up. Everyone just stares. Gray sputters something about leftover power in the wand, but their father, for the first time, admits Seika has talent. Still, he refuses to let Seika study magic, saying nobody without mana ever amounts to anything. He does at least assign Seika a tutor, which means access to books. Seika throws himself into reading and even peeks in on Gray's lessons to keep up. Time moves on, and Seika completes his talisman work. In his past life, he used to subdue demons and seal them in another realm to summon later. Maybe that still works here. For a test, he calls for his most obedient servant. A door splits open, and a young girl steps out. Seika doesn't recognize her at first, but she launches herself at him, thrilled to see him again. She's Yuki. She explains her look is different because his spiritual energy now is weaker than before. Seika's relieved his technique works. Yuki asks what she should do, but he says this was only a test and that she mustn't be seen. She shrinks into a tiny wolf, grumbling that she's sick of that other dimension, and insists on staying with him anyway. Next day, Gray explodes at Aoife for spilling water on him. Then his tone turns slimy. He hints she should make it up to him with her plot. Seika steps in, says he needs Aoife for something, and blocks Gray's punch like it's nothing. Gray storms off. Aoife thanks Seika and quietly takes him outside to a hurt rabbit. Can we save it? She asks. Seika plucks a hair from the animal, uses his talisman, and heals it. Aoife is amazed and Seika notices something in her. She can see the spirits around living thing. Nervous, Aoife admits she can actually see elemental spirits too, but those spirits actively avoid Seika, which she finds odd. Seika asks if she can command them. She remembers once yelling at wind spirits that were stealing her laundry, and they backed off. Seika offers to teach her. Aoife says she has no mana, but Seika sets a practice. He summons a tiny soul flame and tells her to dismiss it. She politely asks the flame to leave no luck. Frustrated, she snaps and orders it to disappear and it goes out. She's not strong yet, but Seika can tell she'll become a serious ally. From then on, the two of them train in secret whenever they can. Months pass. Seasons change. They keep at it. On Seika's 12th birthday, nothing happens. No party, not even his father at home. He tries to shrug it off. Out of nowhere, his brothers show up with wooden swords. Gray still trash talks, saying Seika's only future is the army. But Luft explains they actually want to help him learn sword basics. Before they can do much, maids burst in. A monster is coming, and father isn't here. Seika can already feel it, drawing near. In the forest, the head of a massive elder newt pushes through the trees. Gray panics and runs. Luft orders everyone to safety. Seika sprints outside and sees the beast focusing on Aoife. It lunges then recoils as a burst of flame blocks it. Aoife managed to command a fire spirit on her own. Seika quickly pulls the monster away from the house, lines up his shot, and blasts a spiritual poison straight into its face. The elder newt crashes down, completely disabled. Seika moves to tame it. The onlookers are stunned. One hit to end a threat like that. They cheer, and for once, Seika feels seen. He turns, waves at his family, and thinks, maybe this is the start of the life I've been chasing. After the elder newt incident, Seika gets a proper celebration for the first time. His father praises him, saying even seasoned adventurers would have struggled with that monster. As a reward, father offers him one wish. Seika asks to study magic at the Royal Academy. Remembering how Seika has always taught himself non-stop, father agrees, but warns that noble status won't help on the test. Seika must pass on skill alone. Seika then asks to bring Aoife as his attendant, so her rare gift stays close. Aoife panics, and father immediately says it's pointless because she has no magic. Seika decides to prove their training. He hands Aoife his wand and tells her to pretend to cast Flame Note while actually ordering as many spirit flames as she can. She follows his cue and fires a powerful blast. Gray gapes intermediate magic. Just like that, and father allows Aoife to go too. Gray blows up at the decision. He argues that sending two brothers down the same academy path breaks tradition. Father agrees on the tradition part but turns it on Gray. Since Gray has spent years swinging swords instead of improving magic, he'll join the Imperial Army instead of the academy. Gray refuses to accept it and challenges Seika to a duel to decide who gets the academy slot. Mother tries to stop them. Seika accepts anyway. Father sets the duel for morning. Back in Seika's room, Yuki pops out with spicy commentary about the drama. A knock interrupts them. Luft arrives. He wishes Seika a late, happy birthday, hands him a gift, a glass pen, and apologizes for keeping his distance. He's proud Seika turned out well, and asks him to go easy on Gray during the duel. He also wishes Seika luck at the academy. That night, the window blasts open. Gray barges in and demands they fight now. He won't wait for the rules or the Sunday. He sneers that Seika got lucky with the monster and only won by chance. Gray launches Flame Note, wrapping Seika in fire to show he can also use intermediate magic. It does nothing. He follows up with Wind Lance, stopped cold by Seika's barrier. Seika pulls a paper talisman. Gray keeps spamming attacks. None land. Seika speaks a command, don't move, and Gray freezes on the spot. Then, Seika crumples the talisman in his hand, and Gray feels the same pain shoot up his arm. Shaken and confused by whatever power this is, Gray finally surrenders and passes out. Yuki asks if letting Gray see this much and walk away is smart. Seika says he promised Luft he'd take it easy. Gray called him lucky, but the truth is it was set up months ago. Half a year earlier, Seika summoned a towering cyclops named Nayudu. Despite the scary look, Nayudu was thrilled to serve him again. Yuki still brags she was summoned first. After studying local monsters, Seika ordered Nayudu to drive the elder newt down from the mountain, timing everything for when Seika could happen to be there. Yuki wonders why he doesn't simply flaunt his real strength. Seika reminds her that crafty schemers the weak, as she puts it, killed him in his past life. He won't repeat that mistake. Soon after, Seika and Aoife get ready to depart. Luft relays father's message. Seika should study hard, and Aoife should look after him. On the road, Seika gifts Aoife a necklace. She lights up when he explains. They're mana stones to help her draw in elemental spirits. They're pumped for the journey until Seika turns green with motion sickness. Apparently, carriages wrecked him even in his previous life. He finally settles as the Academy City comes into view, a fortified place devoted to mastering magic. Back home, father thinks Seika must be close to arriving. His mind drifts to 12 years earlier, when a woman left a baby at his door and vanished. That child was Seika, actually the son of father's brother, Gilbert. Gilbert graduated the academy, became an adventurer, and disappeared after entering the infernal lands. Seika's black hair and eyes are rare in this country, and he started using magic at just 1 year old. That freaked Luft out and made Gray resentful after Seika was later judged to have no mana. Father has always sensed something unusual in Seika, something that could shape a hero or a tyrant. He feels guilty about sending Gray to the army, but he considers it too risky to put Seika there. The academy, he hopes, will guide Seika the right way. At the dorms, Seika and Aoife check their rooms. Aoife is surprised. He actually has a weakness, and jokes about staying with him since he's her master. Seika misreads it as sharing dinner, and says he lost his appetite thanks to the ride. Disappointed but caring, Aoife goes to fetch food. Yuki pops out and groans that Seika is hopeless about girls. She flatly states Aoife's in love and is even leaning on her slave status to stay close. Seika is left stunned. They wander the city later, and Seika senses a weird energy in the air, but they keep moving and head to registration. When he mentions he's from a noble house, people start whispering. Aoife introduces herself as his slave, shocking everyone. A magic device checks mana. Aoife shows affinity with wind and fire. Seika places his hand and nothing happens. He calmly tells them he has no mana. The examiner says he can still sign up. Students mutter that he'll get in on family name alone. Annoyed, Aoife accidentally leaks a bit of flame. The whispers cut off when a confident girl strides by. Seika notices something unusual about her. She introduces herself as Amu and places her hand on the device. It erupts in blinding white, strong affinity with all 4 elements. The room stares. Seika thanks her for shutting down the gossip. She replies she wasn't helping him at all, and adds that a kid with 0 mana has no business here, he'll just be in the way. Seika, however, recognizes her aura. She's his treasured disciple from the other world, different face, same soul. During the practical, the examiner explains the setup. Multiple targets, 1 for each element. Your score is how many total you hit. Students chant and shoot. Seika's unimpressed. Aoife's turn comes. She casts Flame Note with no incantation, generating a massive blaze that even scorches a flame-resistant target. Gasps all around. Intermediate magic, chantless. She moves on to Wind Lance and obliterates the next target, then apologizes for the mess. She still worries about passing, but Seika, seeing how far she's come, gets teary-eyed. Seika steps up next. People whisper again about his no mana. He fires a blue flame and shuts them up. For the Earth trial, he leans on his spiritual arts knowledge and converts the granite target into crystal, shattering it. The examiner panics, unsure what spell could even do that. Seika doesn't pause. He uses a talisman for the water portion, draws out frozen arts, produces water, and turns it into a glacier on the spot. The crowd is stunned. Seika wonders if he dialed it a bit too high. Afterwards, the staff compares notes in disbelief. Aoife measured weak. Seika supposedly has no mana, yet both performed like that. They list the standouts, and Amu sits at the top. She blew away all 6 targets completely. One examiner even suggests she might be the prophesied hero who appears when the Demon King returns. A few days later, the exam scores go up. Aoife is nervous she blew it. Seika scans the board and he's third. He's confused, who outperformed him until he sees Aoife in second, which absolutely stuns him. At the very top sits Amu, and Aoife can't help admiring her. Soon, their acceptance letters arrive. They head to the academy for the welcome ceremony. Aoife worries they'll be split up since dorms are separate, but Seika tells her it'll be fine. He suddenly gets a weird chill and asks if she can see any spirits. Aoife says there are lots of dark ones drifting around. They follow the feeling and find a massive magic circle. It looks suspicious, but since it might belong to the school, they back off. Still, Seika quietly leaves a few talismans behind, just in case. Inside the hall, there's a huge banquet. Seika can't resist grabbing snacks. Amu steps up as student rep to give the opening speech. While she talks, Seika feels the magic circle flare to life. Something is coming. The doors explode inward and lesser demons pour in. Students scream and bolt for safety. Seika watches their wild spells. Most are weak and unfocused. One demon closes on the crowd, and Seika readies himself, but Amu flashes in, slices the demon, then blasts it with Wind Lance, fighting head-on. Seika, meanwhile, uses his planted talismans to scan the grounds and spots the caster by the circle. He tells Aoife to stay safe and slips away, leaving only a talisman behind. In the forest, he meets the summoner, a metal-armored demon who mocks him for showing up alone. More lesser demons rush Seika. He flattens 2 instantly and traps the 3rd. Impressed, the leader introduces himself as Gannis, the metal demon. Seika attacks with invisible talismans, but Gannis shreds them, somehow seeing what should be unseen. Seika launches more. Gannis blocks again. The demon fires a blade. Seika dodges, then the blade reappears from nowhere, teleporting weapons. Gannis swaps attacks, hurling fire, blinking behind Seika, and slashing. Seika even loses an arm in the rush. Remembering how the demons search the hall, Seika asks what he's after. Gannis says he's hunting the hero. Seika calls it a myth. Gannis disagrees. Peace made people forget, but an oracle came 12 years ago. He believes Amu is that hero. He drives more blades through Seika and finishes him, only for Seika to stand up fine. Gannis is rattled. He stabs Seika in the head. Seika shrugs it off, saying he can revive. Gannis vows to kill him and stop the hero before she peaks. Seika replies that Gannis doesn't understand what it really means to be the strongest. Seika dodges a fresh volley and floods the area with water, raising a whirlpool. Gannis teleports away. He blinks back and right as Seika opens a gate and calls a thunder beast that strikes the soaked demon with lightning. Smoke clears, no body. A blade hits Seika from behind, then Seika reveals he has actually trapped Gannis, detonating a massive blast. The demon still lives, powering up, and taunts that Seika must be running low on talismans. Seika just smiles. He's been stockpiling for years. Time to end it. Seika opens a deeper gate and summons one of his top familiars, the dragon serpent. Gannis is horrified. He claims even the Demon King wouldn't have a dragon under command. The serpent lunges and crushes him in one bite. When Seika tries to dismiss it, the beast goes feral and tries to flee. He whips talismans through the trees, corrals it, and forces it back into its gate. The rebellion worries him. This body's weaker state must be affecting his control. Yuki appears and asks if burning through so many body double talismans was worth it. Seika says, yes, he needed to map out Gannis's attack patterns, without actually dying. Seika returns to the hall. Aoife rushes over, anxious. She explains, Amu single-handedly took down the 3 lesser demons inside. The students stare at Amu with awe and fear. Seeing those looks, Seika recognizes that vibe from his past life. If things keep going like this, she'll be isolated just like he was. He decides he'll help Amu become the strongest, so he can finally relax and enjoy a quieter life. A month passes. The academy settles down after the demon incident. Seika tries to be friendly with Amu. She stays frosty and ignores him. On the way to class with Aoife, a pot above them tips and spills. Seika teleports them aside. Professor Cordell apologizes, saying it's a special mix of monster blood and minerals for his research. He tried moving it with magic and botched it. He excuses himself and shuffles away. In the next lecture, their professor announces the founding anniversary ritual. The *** top 2 students Amu and Aoife *** must carry the new student roster to a temple in the forest for a blessing. Seika frowns. That forest is where he battled the demon. He asks what happens if a student refuses. The professor says the next in rank takes the spot. Seika immediately tells Aoife to decline. The class gasps. He explains a ceremony. This importance shouldn't be handled by a slave. After class, he apologizes to Aoife, and she realizes he was pulling attention off Amu, who'd started drawing resentment after the demon fight. She teases him, asking if Amu is his type. Seika says he just wants to be her friend, she's the strongest, and that life is lonely. He tells Aoife to imagine being so powerful that everyone praises and fears you. That's where Amu is headed. A few days later, Seika picks up the roster and sets out with Amu toward the forest. Amu eyes him, assuming he's trying to flirt, even though he already has Aoife. Seika says she's got it wrong, there's nothing romantic going on. Amu grabs her head sharp pain and Seika spots a hidden magic circle. It activates, warping them into a dungeon. 3 lizardmen rush them. Amu sprints forward and deletes them with a single fireball. An ogre appears behind her. Seika slams a wooden pillar up from the floor and crushes its skull. Amu calls his spell strange. Seika waves it off as a noble special technique. They move deeper. Seika lights the tunnels with talismans and starts sticking them along the ceiling as they go. Yuki peeks out, confused about the breadcrumb trail. Seika explains he's leaving markers, so his shikigami on the surface can track the path and guide them out when the chance comes. Suddenly, Yuki notices more monsters coming. Amu charges again, but her head starts pounding and she gets knocked out. Seika rushes over. He drives wooden stakes through a bunch of monsters, but there are too many. Since Amu is down, he summons a giant centipede, and it wipes out the rest. Amu wakes up and is shocked everything's dead. Her head hurts again, but it eases when Seika raises a barrier. He says his barrier can block curses and asks when her headaches began. She says they started after she enrolled at the academy. She doesn't think it's a curse since she hasn't seen any marks. Seika explains there are places she can't easily check, which worries her. She lets him inspect for signs, but they find no marks. He says the curse might be hidden some other way. Since the barrier stops the effect, they can assume she is cursed. Amu asks if she must stay in the barrier forever. Using a strand of her hair, Seika makes a substitute for her, so she won't need to stand inside the barrier all the time. They talk and get to know each other. Amu teases him about Aoife, saying Aoife is in love with him. Seika says Aoife is family to him. Amu laughs, since it's rare for a noble to call his slave family. Seika explains he was always treated like an outsider, and Aoife was the only one who treated him normally. Amu starts to mention her own family, but it's a touchy subject, so Seika changes the topic and asks what she likes. She says she loves to fight, always has. Her parents thought that was strange because most people hate getting hurt. She even joined a party that was wiped out, but she still wanted more fights. Everyone said something was wrong with her. She came to the academy to get stronger, hoping that if she became the strongest, fighting would get boring, and she could feel normal. But after the demon battle, she had too much fun, so she thinks she's broken. Seika tells her she isn't weird. She thanks him for letting her get it off her chest. They find the way forward and reach the boss room. A huge Naga-like monster appears and spits acid at Seika. Amu distracts it with wind lance. Seika summons a metal spear and pins it. Amu fires Fireball, which triggers a chain explosion. She dashes in and stabs its head, finishing it. After the fight, they're hyped. They actually beat a dungeon boss. In the treasure room, they find a mithril sword. Seika gives it to Amu and a magic ring, which he keeps. They escape and report to their professor. She didn't even know there was a dungeon under the temple. The magic circle is gone, so they can't trace the culprit. Seika then pays a visit to Professor Cordell. After the demon attack and the dungeon trap, Seika decided there had to be an inside man. Cordell is startled, thinking he cleared all evidence. Seika tells him to drop the act. Cordell isn't a demon, he's human, but working for demons. Seika looks over the ritual and calls it clever. Cordell brags, it's a curse using light magic that kills targets from a distance while looking like an illness. He boasts he'll use it on Amu. Seika points out, he's already protecting her. The curse targets those covered in demon blood. Amu killed the demons, so she got splashed. Seika summons the demon he captured earlier and coats himself in its blood, making him the target. Then, he uses a counter curse from his past life to reflect it. Cordell starts bleeding and collapsing under his own curse. Seika is impressed. Cordell built a curse from scratch in this world, but curses are Seika's specialty. Later, Yuki asks how he knew Cordell was the traitor. Seika says his Shikigami found pollen on Cordell's clothes, from flowers that only grow near the magic circle. With that solved, Seika hopes to live like a normal student. He gives Aoife the magic ring to help her draw in elemental spirits. He tries to be friendly with Amu, but she still acts cold toward him, though she's strangely warmer with Aoife, which confuses him. 1 year passes. Life is peaceful. At another school feast, Amu thanks Aoife for helping her study all year and says she's glad they can finally enjoy the food since demons ruined the last one. Seika quietly monitors the campus with his talismans, just in case. Then the vice principal shows up, and says the principal wants to see Seika and Aoife. Amu jokes he's getting expelled, but Seika senses something else. They enter the office and meet a small dwarf woman, the principal. She expected Seika to be cockier. Seika is surprised. A demi-human runs the academy. The principal notes his comment and remembers someone. Seika wonders if she knew his father, but she's thinking of his uncle, who was actually Seika's real father. She gets to the point. She wants Seika to enter the capital's sword fighting tournament. She calls another student, Mabel, and explains the academy has 2 slots, one for Mabel, the other for Seika or Aoife. Amu is shocked. She wasn't chosen. She asks why they're entering a sword event. Aoife explains the rules now allow magic. Amu still can't believe she wasn't picked, since she's skilled with both sword and spells. The principal says she simply feels Seika is the right fit. Seika suggests the school doesn't want to send someone too strong, or other academies might poach them. Amu then asks why Seika was picked if that's the case. Seika calls himself average. Amu clearly doesn't buy it. They chat about Mabel. Amu guesses Mabel is a noble who got in by connections. Mabel suddenly appears and says the real reason Amu wasn't chosen is that she's too weak. Amu gets fired up, borrows practice swords, and challenges her. As they square up, Seika can tell Mabel is very confident with the blade. Aoife wonders if they should stop this, but Seika wants to see how good Mabel is. The duel starts. Amu rushes in. Mabel blocks, counters right away, and overwhelms her in a moment. The fight is done. Mabel smirks and calls Amu the hero. Amu snaps back that Mabel used magic. Mabel says Amu is weak because she always expects second chances. She then warns Seika to withdraw if he doesn't want to get hurt, because the tournament will be brutal. Seika thanks her for the warning. Aoife checks on Amu, who suddenly looks like she's made up her mind. They set off by carriage for the capital. Seika is confused why Aoife and Amu came along. Aoife says she's here as his servant. Amu claims she's always wanted to see the capital, but Seika can tell she really wants to watch the tourney and study Mabel. When he asks where she'll stay, Amu says she'll crash with Aoife. The ride makes Seika carsick. Mabel calls him weak. Amu tells her to respect her elders, but Mabel says she's actually their same age. She just enrolled a year late. Aoife also joined late, so she's technically a year older. Amu jokes that explains why she's more developed. Mabel complains everyone at the academy acts like kids, including Seika. He just points out, we are kids. They finally reach the capital, and Seika's still queasy. Mabel disappears first. Aoife suggests Seika go rest, but he insists on checking the bracket. If both keep winning, he'll face Mabel in the semifinal. After that, he heads to the inn. Aoife offers to tag along. He tells her to explore the city. Amu jokes he needs special alone time. He tells her not to be weird. Once they leave, Seika focuses on figuring out why the principal pushed him into this tournament. Tournament day arrives. The announcer explains the new rule. Magic is allowed, and about half the fighters are mages. Each contestant wears a damage-absorbing amulet. When it breaks, the fight ends. Seika figures this is to avoid casualties. Seika's first match is against a disgraced ex-noble merc nicknamed Godspeed Bulldog, a pure swordsman famous for speed and a grudge against nobles. The crowd hypes up mage versus swordsman. Bulldog mocks mages for slow casting. Seika, still sick, says he'll end it fast. Bulldog lunges and stabs him immediately, then Seika flickers behind him with a talisman step and blasts him out of the ring in one shot. Match over. The girls cheer. The crowd can't process how it ended so quickly. Seika thinks he should hold back a bit more. Alone, Yuki appears and asks how far he plans to go. She warns him not to stand out too much and to watch his talisman use. He says it's necessary while he's keeping an eye on Aoife and Amu. Back in the stands, the next fight starts. Byrne, the top disciple of a famous water magic sage, versus Kyle, a guard for the Legrock merchants. Kyle just stares. Byrne suddenly looks terrified and freezes. Kyle walks up and stabs him. Blood everywhere. The crowd cheers the shock, but Seika, Aoife, and Amu are disgusted. Seika gets a closer look and realizes Kyle has an evil eye. He can hex people with a glance. Seika's second round is against a massive golem covered in anti-magic. Its handler says he should forfeit. The bell rings. Seika quietly summons a demon for an instant. It carves the golem in one cut, then vanishes. To spectators, it looks like wind magic. Win. Later, he tells Yuki, it was risky, summoners are banned. And if anyone noticed, he'd be disqualified. Back in the seats, Yifa begs him to withdraw after Kyle's kill. Seika says he'll be fine. Amu complains, his fights end too fast and aren't fun to watch. She asks if he'll join the Imperial Guard if he wins. He says he'll turn it down. Amu looks relieved, trying not to show it. Seika adds he's not guaranteed to win. Amu can't imagine him losing, while Yifa still worries. Next is Mabel versus Haro, a skilled earth mage. Haro fires rock blasts. Mabel cuts them apart. He keeps firing. She stops everything. He retreats, chants advanced magic, and raises stone walls. Mabel's knives smash the walls again and again. Seika guesses she's using gravity magic to make her blades heavier than stone. Haro tries a counter, but Mabel dashes in and breaks his staff. He surrenders. The announcer dubs her the unstoppable hero. Seika asks why hero. Amu explains, Mabel is the name of the second hero in legend and even uses the same weapon. Seika's expression says he's figured something out. That night, a shady man sends a carrier pigeon. Seika intercepts it and accuses him of working for the devils. The man plays dumb, then lunges. Seika restrains him with vine magic. He says a Shikigami saw the man meeting an info dealer. The spy refuses to talk. Seika summons Satori. One look and Satori lets Seika read his mind. He's with the devils, and they're hunting the hero. Which one? Seika asks. Mabel. Satori pulls from his thoughts. She matches their spy's description. Since Seika took out Cordell, they can't confirm anymore, but they're still aiming for her. Seika loosens the vines, then tells Satori he can eat the man. The spy is horrified and gets devoured. Satori says it was too dangerous to let him go. He also admits he peeked at Seika's thoughts, so Seika warns him and opens a gate to send him back. Yuki returns. Seika apologizes for the scare. He calls down a raven and grabs the pigeon's note, but it's encrypted. He wishes he'd kept the guy alive to decode it. He pieces together the Academy's plan. Push Mabel as a decoy hero to draw devil attacks, so the real target Amu stays safe. Yuki asks who Mabel really is. Seika thinks Mabel is a fake name, but he doesn't care to dig deeper. As long as she's protecting Amu, that's enough. Next day, at the arena, Kyle wins again. The exact same way, one glare with his evil eye, then a clean finish. A boy named Rhinus, who can use all 4 elements, also advances. Seika bumps into Rhinus, and Rhinus says he'll see him in the finals. People won't stop talking about Rhinus's rare 4-element talent, and his next opponent already withdrew. Seika's third round is against a necromancer. Seika ends it easily, and Mabel also wins without trouble. After her match, Mabel corners Seika and tells him to withdraw before their semifinal. Seika refuses. She admits he's strong and warns she'll have to go all out, and she doesn't want to accidentally kill him. He still won't step back. There's an announcement. Kyle's next opponent withdraws, so they move up the Rhinus versus Kyle semifinal. When the fight starts, Rhinus buffs himself with light magic to counter the evil eye. Amu is stunned on top of 4 elements. He can also use light. Rhinus smirks, acting safe behind the buff, and starts trash talking, but Kyle keeps walking forward. Rhinus throws a fireball, no effect. He cycles through all elements, yet Kyle doesn't flinch and just keeps advancing. Seika guesses Kyle is using gravity magic, like Mabel. Rhinus gets desperate and summons golem troops to block him. Kyle answers with shadow magic and wipes all the golems instantly. Rhinus charges, but Kyle binds him with his shadow. As Kyle moves in to finish it, the referees stop the match and declare Kyle the winner, sending him to the final. That night, Seika is already thinking about returning to the academy after finals. Yuki reminds him he should not win, keep a low profile. As Seika tries to sleep, Yuki shifts into her human form and jokes about sleeping beside him. He says they do that all the time, but she says it's been ages since she used this form. Seika suddenly senses something. Thanks to his Shikigami, he notices Mabel on the roof. He dives onto Yuki to shield her, and a blast rattles the room. Mabel makes her entrance. Seika gets ready. Mabel flings knives and tackles him out the window, but he flips back to distance. He tries to bind her with vine magic, and she parries it. She rushes again. Seika slips away with a body double talisman. He holds her off and tries to talk. She finds it weird. He wants to chat right after she attacked, but Seika says he knows she wasn't aiming to kill. Mabel admits she only wanted to break some bones so he'd be forced to drop out. She needs the finals and asks him again to withdraw. Seika says he knows she's acting as Amu's stand in a fake hero to draw the devil's attention. Mabel says he's close but wrong. Her mission isn't to win. Her mission is to be killed by Kyle, so the devils will think the hero is dead. She reveals both she and Kyle were trained by the Legrock merchants. The merchants take talented slave children, train them as soldiers, and run cruel tests. At the end, they open the skull and engrave magic into the brain, removing fear and doubt, turning the person fully obedient. kids train in groups of 4, pushing each other, then one is chosen for the operation, and is ordered to kill the other 3 to become a real soldier. Mabel says she was disposable, so they used her in this plan to trick the devils. She's also the last person Kyle needs to kill. Mabel adds, she actually wants to reach the finals, so she can kill Kyle herself. She says Kyle killed her brother, and she wants revenge. Seika studies her and guesses Kyle is actually her brother. He notices her dyed hair and matching eyes. Mabel admits that before the surgery, her brother told her, if he changes, put him to rest. The person Kyle is now would murder without reason that's not her brother, so she plans to honor his request. Seika asks if she can really beat him. Mabel says she'll try no matter what, because even if she fails, the merchants will dispose of her anyway. After hearing all this, Seika decides he will be the one to reach the finals and defeat Kyle. Mabel is shocked. Seika says she doesn't need to be the one to do it. Mabel says it's too late, they live in different worlds, and he doesn't get it. Seika tells her she can just come back to the academy. She says the merchants would never allow it. Seika promises he can protect her. Mabel doesn't believe him. Seika calmly says he's the strongest there is. If her brother had a last request, he'd also want his sister to live free. Mabel thanks him, but swears she'll still go all out to win when they fight. Semifinal day, Mabel arrives with a giant battle axe and says she's done pretending to be the hero. Seika is excited to see her true power. She calls him a noble brat and says he has no chance. The bell rings. Mabel blitzes forward, cutting through debris to pressure Seika. He dodges using talismans. He notes her speed and assumes she's lightening the axe with gravity magic. He blasts stone shots. She swats them aside. She throws gravity-charged daggers. Seika blocks them clean. He counters with vines. Mabel breaks free. Then her axe suddenly drags down. Seika says he made it 1,000 times heavier. He casts vines again, this time infused with mercury, so they're far stronger, and grabs the axe. Mabel says he'll never lift it, so he flicks a talisman, lightens it, and hoists it right in front of her. The refs call the match. Seika wins. He tells Mabel to leave Kyle to him. Finals. Seika and Kyle take their marks. Seika apologizes for messing up their plan. Kyle says it's fine, he'll kill Mabel later. Seika tries to reason with him. Kyle tells him to butt out. The fight begins. Before Kyle can pop the evil eye, Seika floods the field with a red mist. Seika attacks with flames, but Kyle's gravity magic negates it. Seika switches to mercury vines to bind him. Kyle breaks free using shadow magic. Kyle closes in, so Seika opens a gate and summons a minotaur. Kyle's shadow tricks don't affect the beast. The minotaur smashes him away. Seika says if Kyle could feel fear, he wouldn't fight so recklessly. Seika plans to spare him, but suddenly a curse hits. Seika throws up a barrier, and the markings fade. But he's already hurt and coughs blood. Kyle grabs him and whispers a final message for Mabel. Seika, angry he lost to a curse, refuses to let it end that way. He starts a revival technique to bring Kyle back, and Yuki panics, begging him to stop because that would draw huge attention and risk repeating his past life fate. Seika clenches his jaw and cancels the spell. After the match, Kyle's body is gone. Seika tells officials he vaporized him, and they accept it. He's declared champion and gets the prize money. In truth, he stored Kyle's body in his void, so Mabel could have a proper burial. Mabel thanks him, and Seika delivers Kyle's final message. He was sorry for breaking her clover. We see the memory. As kids, she loved a clover-shaped hairpin, and he accidentally broke it. Mabel cries, says goodbye to her brother, and lets him go. Mabel asks what happens to her now. Seika says she can return to the academy, and he'll handle the rest. They explain things to Amu and Yifa. Seika omits the fake hero part. Amu stops Mabel and demands a rematch. Mabel isn't in the mood, but Amu insists. This time, Amu uses magic, slices right through Mabel's sword, and reveals she can now use gravity magic too. She tells Mabel not to underestimate her. Now we're even, Amu says, happy to have a real sparring partner. Mabel looks confused, then nods they'll get along. Everyone return to the academy, and Seika meets the principal right away. He says he's figured out their plan about using Mabel as a decoy. The principal says that's not quite it. She sent him because she wanted to save Mabel. She pitied her, saw huge talent, and needed a way for Mabel to lose without dying. She calls Seika her trump card. Seika asks what she would have done if he'd lost. The principal smiles and says she's lived long enough to sense strength at a glance. Seika wonders how old long enough is. She calls him rude, then adds she stopped counting after 300. She promises Mabel will be safe at the academy, but tells Seika to show her the ropes, since this life will feel completely new to her. Later, Seika meets the group. Mabel has her natural hair back. She tries to slip away, but Seika catches her. She complains he's too strict as a tutor. He reminds her she still hasn't passed the entrance exam and needs to study. Mabel gets teary and begs for help. Yifa says, gently, that Seika is actually going easy on her, which leaves Mabel stunned. As summer break nears, Amu asks what everyone's doing. Seika says he's been asked to investigate a dragon in the country of Estellia. His father got the request but is too busy, so Seika's going instead. Amu asks to tag along. Seika reminds her parents expect her home. Mabel says she has no plans and wants to join too, but Seika tells her she needs to catch up on classes. He turns to Yifa and asks her to come. She agrees on the spot. Two people step into the hall. Cecilio, first prince of Estellia, and his elven attendant Lies. Seika greets them, but Cecilio's eyes go straight to Yifa. He instantly asks her to join his harem and become one of his wives. Everyone freezes. Yifa explains she's Seika's servant. The prince offers a high price for her, and Seika is speechless. Lies tells the prince he's making a scene, so they move to a private room. There, they talk about the dragon. Legend says the royal family once hatched it from an egg. The dragon lived alongside people for over a century, but lately it's gone strange, attacking fields and even livestock. Cecilio asks Seika to find out what's wrong. Then he turns back to Yifa, and Lies has to nudge him to behave. After the meeting, Amu and Mabel jump Seika with questions. They're worried Yifa will be handed to the prince. Seika says it could be a good chance for her if she actually wants it. They both insist there's no way she wants that and tell him not to even suggest it. Seika looks confused. He doesn't want to block her future if she's interested. 2 days later, Seika and Yifa join the prince's caravan to Estellia. The ride beats Seika up, his carriage sickness is back. They chat about finally seeing a real dragon. Yifa mentions the prince asked her to ride with him. She thinks he was joking about the harem, but she's a little flattered. 9 days later, they reach Estellia's capital. It's beautiful, but Cecilio says the dragon's behavior has people living in fear, and trade is suffering. A shadow crosses the sky, the dragon flies overhead. Seika notes how huge it is. Suddenly, it dives, skimming past them. Someone chants. A blazing lava tiger is summoned and leaps at the dragon, barely missing. The dragon veers away. The tiger then turns on Yifa and charges. Seika snaps a spell and stops it just in time, but the tiger's heat is melting the street. Seika rushes forward, ready to erase it, then chains snap tight, and the beast is restrained. A man steps up, Zekt, a summoner. He scolds the tiger for going wild and seals it back into his book. The prince runs over, furious that Zekt nearly harmed his guests. Zekt says he was just trying to drive off the dragon. It's been flying lower and even attacking people. Seika asks what his deal is. The prince explains Zekt leads a mercenary band he hired. Zekt eyes Seika and asks how a kid plans to help. Seika shoots back, why hire mercenaries for this? The prince admits he's planning to hunt the dragon to end the crisis. Seika tells him to reconsider. A lava tiger can't kill a dragon. Zekt laughs and claims he's slain dragons before. The argument heats up, and the prince cuts it off. He sends Zekt away and reprimands Seika for provoking him. Seika apologizes, saying he snapped because Yifa was in danger. Then he asks if the queen approved hunting the dragon, since the dragon is the country's symbol. Cecilio says the decision is his alone and reminds Seika to remember his place. Seika turns to Yifa and asks why she didn't use magic to protect herself. Yifa says she was scared and froze. Seika scolds her. He won't always be there, so she has to defend herself. He even wonders if it was a mistake to bring her, and tears well in her eyes. The prince tries to calm him, saying it's normal to be scared in front of such a creature. Seika says this is between them, and tells Yifa that if she can't fight, she must at least run or call for help. Back at the carriage, he feels bad for being harsh, but remembers a friend who once froze and was eaten by a dragon. He refuses to let that happen to Yifa. The next day, they go to the library to study dragon history. Seika finds a case from a few hundred years ago. The queen hatched a dragon from an egg. It lived with people. Then another dragon arrived, and the pair lived together in the mountain. After 50 years, the dragons grew hostile because they'd had a baby. The young later left the nest when grown. Another 50 years passed, and the female died of old age. That was a century ago. Yifa says today's situation is different. There should be only one male dragon, so this can't be about protecting young. Seika decides they should climb the mountain and see for themselves. Yifa says it's too dangerous. Seika answers he can escape if needed. That night, Yifa comes to his room. She says the prince called for her, and she doesn't know what to do. Seika tells her she doesn't have to go, and invites her to stay in his room. He offers her the bed. She says there's room for both. Lying there, Seika asks what she thinks about the prince, and whether she's considered his offer. She thinks he's trying to get rid of her, and he apologizes again for how he spoke the day before. He says that's not what he meant. She asks why bring it up then. He says it could be a good opportunity for her and that she shouldn't worry about him. Yifa quietly asks how he'd feel if she left. Seika says he'd feel lonely, but he would accept it if it's what she wants. Yifa says she'll think about it, but we see tears in her eyes. In the morning, Yifa is already gone when Yuki pops in. She feels bad for Yifa and reminds Seika that Yifa is clearly in love with him. Seika brushes it off, saying they're just childhood friends, but Yuki can tell Yifa's feelings have always been real. Seika goes to confront the prince about chasing Yifa. He asks why Cecilio keeps pushing, and the prince answers that he likes both her looks and her brains. He asks to buy Aoife again, but Seika refuses. Still, he adds that if Aoife truly wants it, he won't stand in her way. Then, Seika says he's heading up the mountain to check on the dragon. The prince realizes that means Seika will be gone for days, and quietly thinks it's the perfect window to make a move on Aoife. Seika says goodbye to Aoife and starts the climb. Back at the palace, Aoife returns to her room and runs into Lise. Lise talks about how rich with mana this land is and says she can see spirits gathering around Aoife. She suggests Aoife might have elven blood, which would explain it, and urges her to join the prince's harem. Aoife can only think about Seika. Lise asks if she's happy living as a slave, and says Aoife must have noticed that something is off about Seika, that spirits avoid him the way they shy from demons. Aoife insists Seika is human, they grew up together. Lise points out Aoife never met Seika's mother, she could have been a demon. Aoife still chooses to trust him. Lise then shows her the harem, which isn't a pleasure hall at all, it's closer to a school, training young women to become the kingdom's future leaders and officials. She explains, the prince's mother is the current, much-loved monarch. Cecilio is under pressure to live up to her, so he's trying to prove himself by fixing the dragon crisis and choosing a bride. Lise has known him since birth and vouches that he's a good person, hoping Aoife will stay by his side. Meanwhile, Seika reaches the mountain and finds the dragon. It blasts fire. Seika blocks it with a barrier. The dragon takes off and dives. Seika slips away with a talisman blink, opens a gate, and calls a demon that lets out a shriek so powerful the dragon drops to its knees. Seika throws a fireproof net and binds it. Yuki asks why he didn't just start with that. Seika says, binding mid-flight could have hurt the dragon if they crashed. He checks the nest and discovers an egg. That's odd, since this dragon should be male. But Seika explains some creatures can change sex and even reproduce alone. He carefully warms the egg, and realizes the old legends about the royal family hatching a dragon were probably true. He keeps the heat steady, guessing the dragon turned aggressive because it was struggling to keep the egg warm. Now that he understands the cause, he thinks it's time to go back, except the dragon clearly wants him to stay and help. Back in the city, Aoife is brought to the prince. A man named Grud examines her, like a specimen background, education, magic, and names a price for her value. Cecilio agrees and checks with his aide. Aoife has no idea what they're discussing until the prince pulls out a heavy bag of gold and says she's going to be freed. Aoife says Seika would have to approve. The prince replies he's paying so much Seika can't refuse, and even hints he'd abolish slavery if that's what it took to force the sale. Aoife refuses anyway. The prince asks why she'd choose to remain a slave. Aoife answers that even as a slave, she can still choose whom to serve and what she does. The aide returns with papers and says they just need Aoife's fingerprint. Cecilio hesitates, but the man tells him Aoife will understand later that this was best for her. Guards grab Aoife. She readies a spell, but Lise puts up a barrier and blocks it, slices Aoife's finger for the print, and in that instant, the dragon arrives, shattering the barrier. Seika appears with it and apologizes for the dramatic entrance. He quickly explains the egg situation and says he needs a fire user to help keep it warm. He spots Aoife and calls for her help. Lise warns her not to go, but Aoife finally says it out loud she loves Seika, and they fly off together. When they reach the nest, a lava tiger suddenly ambushes them. Seika stops it and calls Zekt out of hiding. Zekt and his men step from the shadows. Seika realizes they were using the prince to get the dragon's egg. Exposed, Zekt decides to eliminate Seika. He orders the tiger to attack, but a geyser erupts and blows it back. Seika is impressed. Aoife refuses to freeze like last time. The tiger lunges again, and Zekt's men rush in, but Seika unleashes White Inferno, a massive blast of pale flame that vaporizes the tiger on the spot. Zekt, rattled, demands to know who Seika is. Seika simply says he's the strongest mage. The dragon looms. Zekt's men panic and run, and Seika snares them all with vines. Aoife torches Zekt's grimoire to ashes. Seika praises Aoife, surprised and proud that she's even learned water magic, and taps her head with a gentle pat. They report to the prince. Seika explains Zekt's deception, and Cecilio has the mercenaries jailed. Seika goes on, the dragon turned violent because of the egg. If the royal family helps hatch it, the dragon will see the people as family again and protect the land like before. The prince doesn't like that. He says it will look weak and won't satisfy the imperial court. He tells Seika to kill the dragon instead alone in the nest. He could simply poison it. Seika can't believe what he just heard. Cecilio insists he must do it to prove he's worthy to be king. Seika refuses. The prince calls guards and accuses Seika of magically influencing the dragon. He turns to Aoife and declares she's free now and Seika is dangerous. Seika steps in, temper flaring, and scolds the prince, calling him a child and saying he'll never hand Aoife over. He worries. He went too far until Lise laughs, tells the guards to stand down, and asks Aoife what she wants. Aoife turns the offer down again. She only wants to go back to the academy with Seika. Lise tells Cecilio to give up, apologizes to Seika, and Seika also apologizes for snapping. Lies takes Aoife aside for a private moment. She can see Aoife won't budge, so she clasps Aoife's hand and gifts her a few light spirits, rare sprites that can be used for healing. Aoife says Lies is like the elven princess from her storybooks. Lies smiles and wishes her luck. On the way home, Seika asks what kind of guy Aoife likes. She describes someone smart, strong, kind, and a little lonerish. Seika says she's too picky and might not find a guy like that. Aoife hides a smile and says it won't be that hard. Elsewhere, far from the academy, a group of devils tears through a pack of monsters. Their powers are terrifying. They shred the creatures like paper. They surround a man who's stunned that his monster trap was broken so easily. Their leader tells him to guide them. The man refuses. He plays his trump card, a towering elder Cyclops. The devil boss steps forward himself. The Cyclops swings. The boss smashes the weapon. The monster fires a beam from its eye. The boss blocks it and then brings the Cyclops down. The other devils are impressed. They finish off the handler and move on. Their goal is clear: find the hero and kill them. At the academy, Seika tells Amu he wants her to meet his family. She freezes, and Aoife instantly assumes he's choosing Amu romantically. Seika waves it off. He's going home for break, and his father wants to meet the mage, who can use every element. Amu relaxes and agrees to visit. Seika also invites Mabel to come along. Later, when he's alone with Yuki, we learn he's not thrilled about going back, but there's someone else who really wants to see them. They arrive and are greeted by his older brother, Luft. Seika introduces Aoife, Amu, and Mabel. Aoife's father, Addis, shows up too and is relieved to see his daughter safe. Then Gray appears. Seika worries Gray, still hates him for taking the academy spot, but Gray actually thanks him. He's glad he joined the army instead. Still, the old humiliation burns, and he demands a duel with Seika. Amu steps forward to fight first, and Seika says if Gray wins, he'll duel him next. The match starts. Amu rushes in and goes for a finishing strike. Gray mutters a quick spell, which throws her off, and he disarms her. She complains he cheated with magic, but Gray smirks he didn't actually cast anything. Gray turns back to Seika, but before they can clash, Princess Fiona arrives. Gray is her knight. She calmly says he'd lose against Seika, and Gray backs down. Everyone is shocked to see him listen to anyone. Seika learns Fiona is called the Holy Princess, not an official rank, but she's the child of the Emperor and a priestess, so she carries both lines. Amu asks why a holy princess is here. Fiona says she wanted to meet Amu because she looks just like the hero from the legends. Fiona remembers a vision her mother once had and says she'll stay a few days. When she returns to the capital, she wants them to travel with her. After she leaves, Amu asks Seika how he knew she'd show up. He just smiles. In his study, Seika's father tells Addis to speak openly. Is he angry that Aoife was sent to the academy? Addis says he's more upset that she served Seika because he finds Seika's aura creepy. Seika's father answers that Seika's done very well at school. At dinner, the princess randomly brings up reincarnation. Seika changes the topic fast. His father praises the dragon investigation, and his mother gently asks him to write more often. Seika is stunned. She's ignored him most of his life. That night, Amu drops by Seika's room just to hang out. She asks what he'll do after graduating. She'll probably return to adventuring. Seika remembers the promise he made when they were trapped in that dungeon. He'd adventure with her. He says he plans to become an adventurer too. Amu is surprised. He took that promise so seriously and happy they'll stick together. The next day, Seika shows the princess around town. Gray reminds him the rest of the knights stayed behind, so they need to keep Fiona safe. Fiona laces her fingers through Seika's hand so she doesn't get lost, and they wander the market trying snacks. They start to draw a crowd. As they pass a construction site, a stack of logs slips. Gray snaps wind magic to blast them apart, and Amu throws up a golem shield that blocks the debris. Seika thanks them, but the princess scolds him for not acting sooner. To brighten the mood, Seika buys her a small gift and helps pin it on. She asks how it looks. He casts a quick spell and creates a mirror in the air. Gray mutters that Seika's magic is weird, but Fiona beams at her reflection. Later, Seika finds Gray training hard. He admits he now sees why the princess chose Gray as her knight. Gray says it wasn't about skill, it was for another reason. He reveals the princess can see the future. Seika raises an eyebrow. Gray adds that Fiona's mother was an oracle who foresaw the hero and the demon king. When Seika asks why tell him this, Gray warns him, don't get in her way. The next morning, the princess is searching for Seika, but using paper talismans, he avoids her easily. Yuki wonders how Fiona's foresight works. Seika says it's nothing like his divination. Divination uses info and tools to peek at possibilities. Fiona's sight is different, sharper, stranger. As Amu walks by, Seika pops out of the bushes and makes her jump. She just lost to Gray again, which Seika finds odd. By raw power, she should beat him. Amu glances back at the mansion and says the princess looks lonely, playing chess by herself. Seika goes to join Fiona. No one else wants to challenge her, so she asks if he knows chess. Seika says he's a beginner. She gives him a handicap, leaving herself with only pawns. He thinks it'll be one-sided, but she proposes a wager. The winner can ask the loser for anything. Seika hesitates. She adds he can refuse if it's too much. He agrees, and they begin. As they play, she asks which piece he thinks is strongest. Seika answers, they are the unseen players controlling everything from the shadows. Fiona says, most people would name the king or the dragon knights, but the strongest pieces aren't on the board at all, they're the masses. The people of the country. She never had the king or knights on her side, so she won over the crowds instead and she's confident she'll win. Seika asks if that's something she saw. She's surprised he knows about her sight. He resigns the match and, before she can gloat, asks her true goal. She says she wants to save people. She paints a picture, children playing near a deep hole. They don't see the danger, and one day they'll fall. She wants to stop it, but her visions don't give perfect details, push too hard and the future shifts. Hearing this, Seika agrees to help however he can. It's time to return to the capital. Luff sees them off at the gate. Mabel sighs that she just got used to relaxing and wishes she could stay longer. Seika taps the stack of textbooks in her pack and reminds her she has to catch up. She pouts, then laughs, and the group sets out again. Seika rides with Gray and the princess because that carriage shakes the least. Gray is surprised. Seika has such a basic weakness, and Seika just keeps an eye on the whole caravan from the window. A sudden blast rips through the road, but it only hits a decoy wagon. Seika jumps out and sees bandits surrounding the line of carriages. Their leader orders the men to search everything and tells the archers to shoot Seika on sight. Seika calmly lifts a hand and calls a magnetic cloud that pulls every arrow off course like they're made of toys. The bandits switch to magic. Seika throws up a barrier and their spells splash like rain on glass. Gray and the other knights charge, and the princess shouts that she wants them taken alive. Seika answers by sweeping the road with vines that coil around ankles and wrists in a blink, pinning the entire gang face first in the dirt. He meets up with the others. Everyone wonders why bandits were dumb enough to attack a party with knights and guards, and what they're supposed to do with this many prisoners. A messenger calls Seika to the princess. She thanks him for acting fast. Seika asks if she knows who sent them. She shrugs. She has too many enemies to guess. He asks what she plans to do with the captives. She says she already expected something like this and prepared extra carriages to haul them back to the capital for questioning. Seika points out that moving bandits through open roads is risky if they get help. The princess says the bandits will behave because they're waiting for reinforcements. Seika says that makes them more dangerous. She smiles and says the reinforcements won't be coming, so there's no problem. They reach the capital safely and part ways at the gate. The princess thanks Seika for escorting her and reminds him she'll always be on his side. Elsewhere, the other bandit team runs into a squad of demons and gets completely wiped out. The demons keep marching toward the city, dead set on finishing their mission, kill the hero. Back at the academy, the principal asks Seika to give the welcome speech for the new students. She says it's a big honor, even though she knows he doesn't care about honors. Seika agrees anyway. Yuki worries it'll draw attention to him. Seika says it's fine and wonders if he's been hiding too much ever since his last life ended the way it did. He doesn't regret becoming friends with the girls, and he figures it's okay to stand out a little. Yuki asks if he plans to confront the danger she's sensing. Seika says it'll be easy, and no one will even know it was him. Outside the walls, the demon group appears. Their leader, Solnum, surveys the area. No Imperial Guard squads, no top-tier adventurers, almost too quiet. Something still makes him uneasy. He explains the plan. Split up, drive all students toward the central building, then slaughter everyone, and cause chaos until the hero shows up. He promises success and tells them they'll regroup later. The demons are confident and teleport into the city. But the moment they arrive, they're swallowed by a drifting red mist. The demon Gannis spots a cluster of students and hurls flames, but as he moves in, something about the students seems off. The witch Pirisralia and the beast tamer Ronnie move through the haze, bragging about how much stronger they've grown under Solman. A student sprints past. Ronnie releases his wolves to run the kid down. They vanish into the red fog. Time passes. Ronnie frowns and whistles them back. His wolves return, carrying something that is definitely not a student. Deeper in the mist, the ogre king Mutarev wanders empty streets and grumbles that he hasn't seen a single real person. A strike flashes from the side. Mabel lands, axe ready. She accuses him of working for the Merchants Association. He has no idea what she's talking about. They clash. Blow for blow, the ground crunches. Mutarev admits she's better than he expected, swinging that massive axe like it's light as a twig. He smashes her back with a club swing. She whips daggers mid-flight. He blocks with his arm. She triggers her magic and wraps him in dark bindings, but Mutarev tears free instantly, growling that he resists all magic. He rushes in and slams his club down, but Mabel has somehow vanished. Solnum reappears in a narrow courtyard that wasn't on the map. Gannis arrives from another direction and says this isn't their meeting spot. One by one, the others drift in, all saying they were led here. They trade notes and pull out paper talismans. Each of them found the same strange slips scattered around. Somnum decides something is very wrong and orders a retreat. That's when Seika steps from the mist and tells them the truth. Every student they chased was one of his Shikigami, all except the Mabel that Muterev fought. Muterev laughs, thrilled to face a worthy opponent. He raises his club, then his head drops off before the swing finishes. Seika flicks a talisman, murmuring that Muterev's curse resistance was way too low. Somnum freezes. Estellia screams and lunges, her third eye blazing as she tries to turn Seika to stone. It doesn't work. Seika opens a gate and calls a colossal serpent. It carries a third inner eye. The moment it focuses on her, Estellia's heart stops, and she collapses like a puppet with cut strings. Ronnie's snake bursts from the ground, snapping, but it's nothing compared to Seika's beast. Ronnie tries to tame the giant serpent, hands out, voice sweet, calling it to heal. Somnum shouts at him to run. Too late. The serpent devours him in one gulp. Seika shakes his head, saying it was pointless. This monster hates humans too deeply to be tamed. Somnum stares, shattered. Using his special sight, he reads Seika's aura and finally understands. This power, this depth, Seika is the true Demon King. He tells Ganis to teleport out and warn their allies, while he stalls. He also realizes Seika is fighting to protect Amu, and the thought breaks him. The Demon King has chosen the human side. Somnum gathers everything he has and charges a final strike. Seika releases a surge of power that crushes it like paper. Dust billows. When it clears, Somnum is down and it looks like Ganis managed to escape. Outside the city, Ganis stumbles through brush, gasping that Seika the Demon King can't be real. A rabbit rustles a bush and he jumps. Relief lasts a heartbeat. A sharp pain blooms in his chest. He looks down at a cursed sigil searing through him and doesn't understand how it hit. We see the truth. Yet another of Seika's curses was waiting, silent and patient. Even Yuki's a little shaken by how overwhelming his power is. Mabel races up, worried that Muterev might be attacking someone else. Seika tells her to relax. It's handled and asks her to keep tonight quiet. Later, the students throw another big feast, and Seika keeps wondering what to say in his welcome speech. He asks Amu how she handled hers before, and she reminds him it was cut off by demons. If it hadn't been, she says she would have talked about everyone getting stronger together and becoming real teammates. Seika heads to the stage, but a squad of knights bursts in and asks for Amu by name. She steps forward, calm, and they say she's under arrest for crimes against the Empire, claiming she killed a *** demon emissary. Amu looks totally confused, she's never even met one. The knights cuff her anyway. Mabel shifts her weight like she's about to swing, but Seika tells her to stand down. Amu is innocent. We won't panic, he says, and they watch as Amu is taken away. Afterward, Seika meets the principal. They both know the Empire is framing Amu. Seika can't figure out why the Empire would want to remove the hero from the board. The principal says she's doing everything she can, and warns Seika not to do anything reckless. He nods, but his eyes say something else. Leaving the office, Seika tells Yifa and Mabel not to worry, the principal is working on it, so they should trust her. That night, Seika slips outside and summons his dragon. It still hates taking orders from him in this new body, so he forces it to recognize him as its master. Yuki appears and begs him not to go. She says, if he uses full power to smash this problem, the country could label him a threat, and he might die the same way he did before. Seika's jaw tightens. Anyone who stands in my way gets erased, he says. Yuki hears the anger from his past life boiling up and begs him to rethink it. He snaps, tells her to remember she's his familiar, and orders the dragon to fly for the capital. In her cell, Amu sits alone, thinking about her friends and hoping she'll see Seika again. Footsteps stop outside her door. Someone visits her in the dark. Above the city, Seika rides the dragon through clouds of talismans that he scatters like glowing leaves. They unfold into eyes and ears, helping him scan for Amu. He drops into the castle grounds, unimpressed by the thin patrols, until a guard spots him and blows a whistle. Archers swarm the walls and fire. Seika raises a magnetic cloud, and the entire volley bends away like rain hitting a roof. More arrows fly, so he answers by letting two boulders crash down, splitting the formation. Soldiers pour into the courtyard and shout for him to surrender. He warns them to move or be spared if they obey. They shoot flaming arrows. He darts aside, flicks a hand, and a wave of white inferno erases the front line. They still keep coming. Seika opens a small gate and a swift demon whirls out, cutting through ranks in a heartbeat. The rest rush him. Seika sweeps them back with flame and keeps moving, room after room, door after door. At last, he reaches Amu's cell. The door crumbles under his touch. I'm here, he says, and steps in. Amu's first thought is for him. If he breaks her out, won't the Empire mark him forever? Seika says her life is on the line. She argues they'll clear her name. He shakes his head. There's more. You're the hero. Amu blinks. What? Seika explains. Every few hundred years, the hero and the Demon King are reincarnated. She's the current hero, and the Empire is trying to erase her before the title can matter. The boots scrape the hall. Gray appears first, hand on his blade. Seika mentions he still owes Gray a duel, but Princess Fiona steps into view and says she just wants to talk. Seika glances past her. He can feel soldiers outside, then looks back. She knows they wouldn't last 3 breaths against him. He asks why she's trying to kill Amu when the devils should be the real enemy. The princess answers calmly. Long ago, the hero saved the realm from demons. But in this age, both the Empire and the demons have armies. Neither side can win outright. The ideas of hero and demon king are old tools that now only trigger wars. Removing the hero prevents the spark that could set everything on fire. Even the demons, she says, were trying to remove Amu not to gain power, but to avoid a new war. Seika stares at Amu, then back to Fiona. Should he let Amu be sacrificed for peace? The princess swears she's trying to save Amu quietly. She asks Seika to withdraw. He won't be punished for tonight, and she'll do everything she can to get Amu safe and free. Seika's eyes narrow. He realizes she's been managing him from the moment they met, nudging and steering like a chess player. She reminds him he promised to obey her order after losing at chess. He shakes his head. He won't stake Amu's life on promises he no longer trusts. With no other option, the princess has them escorted outside the palace and shows a carriage waiting. Go to the free city of Lakana, she says. As they climb in, Amu thanks her for the cloak she's wearing. The princess had slipped it to her during that late visit in the cell. Seika pauses. Ashamed, he broke his word. He turns back toward the palace walls, draws a deep breath, and opens dozens of gates. A storm of talismans pours out and weaves a glowing field over the city. One by one, those he killed tonight breathe again, pulled back from the edge by his art. The princess stares in shock. She'd prepared a cover story about a monster attack to hide the casualties, and now he's just undone it. Seika apologizes. His intent was good, even if it wrecked her plan. Seika and Amu ride through the night. He thinks about Mabel and Aoife, probably worried sick. Amu sighs that dropping out this close to graduation hurts, but then smiles they can finally adventure like they promised. Back at the capital, the princess pens a letter to Mabel and Aoife explaining what happened and where the pair are headed. Days later, when Seika and Amu reach the Free City's gates, there's a crowd and a lot of noise. They push through, and there they are, Mabel and Aoife, waiting with anxious faces that break into huge smiles. The 4 of them crash into a hug, the weight of the week lifting all at once. And that's where this video ends. Watch this following video, and I'll be back with a new one.